Newcastle are back in the Champions League. They're on the rise. But how do they get to the top? Welcome to Sensible Transfers, where we identify weaknesses in squads and look for solutions to those problems. It's not what we think they will do, it's what we think they should do. But what are the weaknesses of this Newcastle team? Because it's quite good. So Eddie Howe's been switching between a back three and a back four for the last few weeks of the season, and he'll probably keep doing that going forward. All the players suit the positions, and they play in a very clear style of play. It's very direct, very intense, lots of running. And in fact, you can see it here, because this graphic shows that Newcastle are always sprinting in and out of possession. So what we need when we look for players are some who can run a lot. They're going to be able to match the intensity that Eddie Howe needs of his team. And high intensity sprints can lead to injuries, but it also leads to players being a bit tired. So you need a bigger squad so that you can keep the momentum going and swap players in and out. But what you can also see when you look at their squad profile is that they're missing a few players, I would say, who are in the younger side, 24 and under. They've got lots of players coming into their peak, so that's really good. It's kind of what you want. They've got a few too many who are a little bit older. What we need are some players who are younger. So young players who can sprint, who are intense and have the hunger. But which is the hungriest position of all? When we look at the squad, we can see that clearly what they are lacking is someone who can play in this position where Jacob Murphy is, because he's all on his own. We need a left-footed, right-sided winger who can play in this position. Now, we know Newcastle were interested in signing Bryan Mbeumo. He may have gone to Man United by now. I don't know. I can't see the future. We're filming this before. But there's another player I have which might be better suited to Newcastle anyway, and that is Antoine Semenyo of Bournemouth. He is fantastic and has terrorised Newcastle over the last couple of seasons. But what's really interesting about Semenyo's numbers particularly is when you look down at the defensive part, they're very high. Because this is something you want in an Eddie Howe team, is commitment to the intensity in the pressing. And what we see is that he regains the ball quite a lot high up the pitch. So something very useful for the way they want to play. They want to press high, win the ball and go. But the thing that Semenyo has that maybe Mbeumo doesn't is complete unpredictability and the ability to play on both sides. So when you've got squad depth, if Gordon's injured, if Barnes is out, someone who can do a bit of both. So here we have Semenyo playing against Newcastle for Bournemouth, playing on the right-hand side. Now, he's very two-footed. I'd say he probably favours his right, but he can hit them with both. The ball's going to come forward, he takes it on. Now, the first thing Semenyo does in any situation like this is instantly, it's under control, it's in a position so that he can drive directly towards defenders. They do not like this. Defenders don't like when that happens to them. He drives towards them. Is he going to cut inside? Is he going to go wide? You don't know. He takes a shot, which is kind of ambitious, but it goes in. So kind of an unpredictable thing. You can't guarantee that's going to happen every single time, but it's dangerous. And Newcastle will have remembered that, because here we come to another game against Newcastle. So here is Semenyo making this run, a curved run. He's going to get in behind to the space. So he makes these runs that Eddie Howe really likes his forwards to make into his half spaces. Gets wide, looks up, finds a cutback, and they score from this as well. Now that's him playing on the left-hand side, as you can see, but here's him playing on the right again against Newcastle. So here he is, sprinting onto Joe Linton, a high regain, exactly what we're talking about, and then as soon as he's got the ball, he looks to drive forward. Again, defenders do not like this. So as he drives forward, he gets to a similar position. So they've been through this situation before. They'll have been told, don't let this guy shoot, try and block it, but he just pushes himself a bit further out wide, takes three defenders with him, crosses across the box, and it's a simple tap-in. So Semenyo gives you unpredictability, also the defensive work rate would be expensive, but he's the exact kind of player that Newcastle should be looking to take themselves to the next level. But if not Semenyo, I have another option that's maybe more sensible, traditionally sensible. Now this is Matthias Süle of Roma, an Argentinian winger who is exceptional at dribbling. He's also very good at passing. His numbers look really good here. But the thing with Süle that is interesting to me is that last season, so not the one that just happened, the 23-24 season to be specific, he had the second most attempted take-ons of any player in the top 5 leagues in Europe. So this guy likes to take on players and go past them. He's very good at it. So this season his role has kind of changed. So where we had him before playing the right wing, very much outside winger, he can cut inside. This season he's been playing as part of a 3-4-3 shape at Roma sometimes a 5-3-2, but he can often play in behind the striker as well along either side. He likes to play in these central spaces. But what we've seen him do a lot under Claudio Ranieri towards the end of the season is play as the wing back. So we take Livramento out, we put in one of these players, Brown can come in. Suddenly you've got, well, Murphy's gone. So you can play him as a very attack-minded wing back. he can do it all. That means you can reliably replace Jacob Murphy, you get the attacking merit that he has, you can dribble past players, you've got the intensity out of possession, but importantly, he can play multiple positions in the same system. So you've got that option to change in-game or between games. That's really useful for your squad depth. So we've fixed the right-hand side of the attack, but the most important bit of the attack is the central bit. And as we've known for a long time, Newcastle need a backup or someone to challenge Alexander Isak for a central striker role. Now, Callum Wilson's not going to be there next season. The only other player they have is William Osula, who probably isn't the finished article. Maybe he'll work on loan or something like that. We need a central forward who can do the things that Isak does, or maybe someone who offers something a little bit different. And I've got two options for you. And the first option is very exciting. He can't get in the team for PSG, but that's not really his fault because they're amazing. Instead, he's been at Juventus and could maybe move somewhere where he can challenge for first team place. He can play all along the front. It's Randall Kolo Muani, a fantastic player who can carry the ball, he can pass it, he can come deep to drop in the midfield and link with players. He's not too dissimilar to Alexander Isak. But the thing Isak has that a lot of strikers like him maybe lack is that when they're in tight spaces, Isak has close control and the ability to produce something out of nothing. Whereas when we think of Kolo Muani, you think of a player who's maybe better running into space and utilising that on the counter-attack, which is something Newcastle would be able to take advantage of. Now here is Kolo Muani about to prove me correct. Here he is playing up front for Juventus. The ball's on the left, they're progressing play down that left side. Now what Kolo Muani is doing here is trying to earn himself a bit of space to attack the ball. So you can go to the front post or the back post, but what you really want to do is try and deceive the defender and start to make him think you're going one way before you go the other. Another thing to notice is his positioning and the spacing he's got with the centre-back. So he's making sure he's not shirt tight. And this is the line that you think he's going to follow. And there's a sensible line to attack the front post so the ball goes there. However, the defender, as you can see, is looking directly at where he is now. He knows where Kolo Muani is going. It's all been a cunning ruse. He adjusts his movement and his body, he goes the other way, the ball comes in, he's able to head that home. This sort of number 9 movement in the box is exactly the kind of thing you want when you're attacking with wingers. And you've got Gordon or Murphy or of course Semenyo in our team now. This is the kind of thing that you can make use of with a player like this, who could challenge Isak for a starting place even. But I told you I had two, and here's the second one. It's a player they're also linked with. It's João Pedro of Brighton, a very different profile of player from Kolo Muani. This is a player who's more likely to drop into the midfield and link. He can also play alongside Isak. So where Kolo Muani can play anywhere across this front line, João Pedro is very much a player who plays through the middle. He can play as a 10, but not really like a playmaker kind of 10. He's a player who can link the play and still attack the box. So you might end up with him alongside a striker or something like that. And if that's something Eddie Howe wants to do and develop and press with the front four, which is very common now. You can't play with 12 players, obviously, but if that's something they wanted to do, that's an option they'd have. They've also played with Gordon alongside someone else up top when Isak's not been there. So you want to play in the break and just hit the ball into the channels and have two strikers going forward. João Pedro's probably not your player for that either. He's the one who can come in and link it, but give, again, great competition for places to Isak, as well as giving them something different going forward. And he's a top-level player. Again, the kind of thing that we're looking to sign. But Newcastle have an even more pressing matter to deal with, and that is who should play at centre-back for the next 8 years or so. Exactly 8. So Fabian Schär is getting older now, might need to replace him going forward. He'll still play, he's been excellent for them. They've been playing a back 3 at times, a back 2 at others. Dan Burn is obviously a phenomenon, you shouldn't leave him anywhere, and Sven Botman is injured quite a lot. We know they need to sign another centre-back, but the profile of that centre-back is really important. And of course, in modern football, you need a centre-back who can play the ball with line-breaking passes to take you forward and go forward like that. Now, Fabian Schär has been vital to how Newcastle play, and does do things like that, and he carries the ball into midfield too, and likes a shot from 30 or 40 yards, but his passes aren't that spectacular, really. We don't need someone who excels at that. But if we were to look for someone to complement Sven Botman and Dan Burn and add that line-breaking passes to challenge Fabian Schär for a starting position, well then we should look for players who are very good at doing that. And there is no player in the Premier League better at doing that than Jan Paul van Hecke of Brighton. And actually, lots of players on this list would be sensible transfers for Newcastle. Jan van Hecke is my preferred option here. Mark Gahey, who we think they will actually go for, is on this list as well. Nathan Collins of Brentford, another fine option, and just below him is Fabian Schär to show he does make those line-breaking passes that we want to replicate. But Van Hecke's strengths, other than his line-breaking passes, are his height, strength, ability to read the game, and he goes into tackles quite hard. He doesn't seem to ever get beaten in 1v1 duels and defensive moments when you watch him play for Brighton. But he's very expensive, so it doesn't make it quite as sensible as maybe we want to. Brighton tend to get good prices for their players. So I have another player who I think might be available for a slightly lower price, who I see huge potential in at their centre-back. And that player is Ousmane Diomande of Sporting. Now, he's an Ivorian international. he is a fantastic footballer. He plays like a midfielder at times. And you can see his passing numbers are exceptional, but also his touches in the attacking penalty area. He gets forward quite a lot. The thing I like about Diomande is that he has the physical profile to play in the Premier League, I think, already. He's very quick, he's definitely strong, and he's got the right gait to be able to do it. But I think what you see with him is the way he reads the game and the way he always goes forward is what you should be looking for in a team like Newcastle. So here he is. This is one example of him playing against Bologna in the Champions League. It's the level they're playing at now, Champions League. And Diomande reads the play here. It's kind of obvious, but he leads him one way so he can step in to win the ball. His first thought then is to go forward, and he drives it forward. Now, as you see, he plays the ball out wide to his teammate and then realizes that there's not really any better options for the teammate to pass to once he turns, so continues his run and gives him an option. When he takes his ball down, he then plays a back heel into his teammate, so they go even further up the pitch. And these kind of moments can turn a defensive moment into an attacking one and really get Newcastle forward and play the sort of intense sprinting football that Eddie Howe wants. So that's the right wing sorted, we've got the striker sorted, and the central defence. We've almost fixed it all. Almost. Because there's one more position that I think they need to strengthen this window. And that position is at centre midfield, because at the moment we only have Tonali, Joe Linton and Guimaraes to play with. Now, Joe Willock is still there for now. He gives them good options off the bench, is more box-to-box and advanced playmaking there. But you've also got Lewis Miley, who I really like. Now this 5 is kind of fine, but if Willock were to leave, and Longstaff were to leave, and Lewis Miley were to be sent on loan, something like that, they're obviously really short. So I'd imagine they'd keep Miley, maybe Willock would leave, we don't know. But just hypothetically, this is what were to happen, they need depth. And I think I found a player who might, again, suit exactly what it is Eddie Howe wants. And my pick for this position is Javi Guerra of Valencia. He's a young Spanish midfielder. His numbers look lovely, maybe not his pass completion, but that happens when you're trying things, trying to make things happen, and that's kind of what we want. But what he maybe lacks in pass completion, he more than makes up for in running. As we know, Eddie Howe wants his players to make these runs in behind to help his team get forward. Now here he is playing the left midfield, he's circled here. He spotted this space really early between the fullback and the centre-back, runs into it, knowing that when the ball goes sideways and then back through to him, he'll be in behind. He points to his teammate, he needs the ball here now, he gets the ball here now, puts the ball into the box, and it's a goal. Which is the exact kind of passes you want to play to the strikers and the forwards that Newcastle have in those exact areas. It makes perfect sense. So let's put Guerra into the midfield. I think he'd play one of these two positions here. He can play both at the same time, as we discussed. He could make them better, but more importantly, he gives them squad depth, like high-level squad depth, to compete in all those competitions they have going on next season, 25-26 season, and that's what he's going to do there. So this is our sensible team. Kolobawani up front, I've got Semenyo on the right-hand side, or the left, lots of options. Livramento playing here, obviously, he's still there. Diomande, this sort of centre-back who can play as part of a 2 or a 3. It's very sensible. And that's what I think they should do, not what I think they will do. If you want to find out what they will do, you should read The Athletic, and especially our deal sheet, where all the real reporters give you the inside information on all the transfers that are actually happening, and you can read that in The Athletic.
If you like this video, please consider subscribing to the channel. The Athletic is home to some of the world's best sports journalists, including David Ornstein, Amy Lawrence and James Horncastle. With the latest transfer news and insights on every Premier League story that matters, theathletic.com puts you inside football, and you can try it for free now for 30 days. See the link in the description.